Hello everyone. In this session, we will look into the global supply chain management and marketing. As we already know, the marketing is one of the essential part of a supply chain. Now, earlier we have talked about the different components of a supply chain. And we have also talked about the introduction to the global supply chain and the digital technologies in global supply chain. When we look at a supply chain, we always look at the customer side, we always look at the supplier side as well. So in between them, we got logistics, we got operations, we got procurement and marketing. So in this session, we will be looking into the marketing side, how marketing work or how our decision of supply chain being formed because of the marketing or marketing techniques. Now in this session, we are going to look at the overview of the marketing. We will look into the classifying goods and services because marketing can differ based on the goods and services. Also, how can we develop a new product or service in any of the supply chain. So either is manufacturing or trading or it's service industry. How do we develop a new product or services? What steps are required to develop a new product or services? So that is what we are going to look into this session. Now, when we talk about marketing, supply chains management and the marketing, so marketing is one of the essential part of the supply chains. Now, over here, if you can look at this diagram, the supply chains are from the supplier side to the customer side. Now, in between them, we got logistics, we got sourcing, which is purchasing or procurement, we got the operations and the marketing. They all work together in a supply chain. Now, when we think about marketing, the traditional way of thinking about marketing is we have the product available and we are pushing the product to our customers. So that is a traditional way. So we used to have products and we are pushing the products to the customers. I hope you remember we have looked at the operations diagram where we used to have continuous or mass production where we are producing product 24/7, 365 days. And when we have the product, when we have a lot of product available, we are pushing that product into the market and towards the consumer. The consumer should buy the product. So that is the push demand principle. But nowadays we are working on pull demand principle. So pull demand principle is going from customer side towards the supplier side. What does that mean? Is we are getting the demand from the customer first and then we are pulling the demand from the customers and moving towards the supplier. So how does that work? Now in that, what we look at, so our supply chains in traditional way we used to start from the suppliers towards the customer, but nowadays our supply chains are starting from the customers towards the suppliers because customers are the people who are going to use our product and the services. So the customers are the people who are driving the demand, how much quantity they require, what type of features they require, what type of colors they require. So our demand is based on the choices of the customer. And I remember we have talked about mass personalization and mass customization, and that is what we are going to talk about later on as well. So in customer side, what happened, our marketing people or marketing department does a very important or play a very important role in our supply chain because those are the people who drive the demand from customers towards the supplier. Now what happened in that case? So as an example, a customer comes to you and they ask for 500 pieces of a product. So let's suppose you are publishing, you require a specific book. Now your customer comes to you and they ask you that they need 500 copies of that book. Now you don't keep that in inventory. You don't keep 500 pieces. So what will happen? You will go to your suppliers or the distributors and you will ask for 500 copies. That is the pull demand, that when you have demand, the actual demand from the customers, then only you are going to a suppliers or the distributors and saying that I need 500 copies, and that distributor goes to their supplier and asks for the 500 copies. Or maybe the printer of that book, they might go to paper manufacturer, who manufacture the paper, or maybe the people who are supplying the ink for printing, and then they buy the product when they have actual demand. Otherwise they are not keeping the product or the components or the supplies within the house. So marketing plays a very, very important role in our supply chain. It is a very important concept. Now, how marketing works, that is what we are going to look into in today's session. So when we look at the goods or services in our supply chain, so whatever goods or services we are supplying or we are producing, we should think about two types of goods or services. Now, one of the goods or services could be the consumer good, which is being consumed directly by our consumers. Now, the second type of goods or services could be for the industrial purposes, so which is business to business, not business to customer. So this one is business to customer and this one is business to business, the industrial one. Now, business to business is for organizational use. So for example, you are supplying papers to an organization. You are not selling it directly to the consumers. So that becomes business to business model or business to consumer model, which you are selling directly to the consumer, or you are selling it could be you're selling something online and people buying from your website or eBay or Amazon, or if you are selling something on from a traditional store, a high street shop, that is business to consumer as well. So there are two types of goods and services, and that differs based on our products, our services, what type of services we are coming up with. So for example, you are a website developers and you are developing websites for other organizations. So that is B2B sale, business to business sale. If you are developing website for any consumers who are the individuals, that becomes business to customer. If you are developing software or any application or web application, mobile application or web application, so mobile application could be directly to business to consumer, or mobile application development could be directly to business as well. Now, your product and services differ. Sometimes you have products and services, you sometimes sell it to business other organization, and sometimes you sell it at the same time you sell it directly to consumers as well for personal use. So that is what we need to think about. That is the first thinking about goods or service classification. Now look at in bit more detail how that goods and classification work. So if you look at the category of classification of those goods and services, first category is the convenience good. So that is the first one. First category is the convenience good. In that we have which we consume rapidly and regularly. For example, milk. So milk is the convenience good, which you can quickly go to a corner store and you can buy milk for your daily need. Or you can go to a chain store as well, you can buy milk from there as well. Now that is being consumed rapidly and regularly. Milk, salt, peppers, newspapers, any fast food, which is from McDonald's or KFC or anything, that is being purchased often. Like we normally buy milk almost every day or twice a week or thrice a week. So that is being purchased very often, and which has little input of time and effort. So people don't want to put too much time and effort to buy milk, and that is why people prefer to buy milk, bread, newspaper, or any fast food from the nearest store, even if they has to pay little or slightly higher price on on those convenience items. So that is why we call those corner stores the convenience stores as well, or convenio. So that is one type of category. All those products that people consume very regularly, those are kind of milk, newspaper, fast food. Those are the products which are the convenio product. Now, second type of products or services are shopping goods. So in shopping goods, that is not being purchased regularly or every day. Those are purchased less often. So maybe once in a week. It could be possible like once in a month or once in a year. So as an example, television sets, we don't buy it every day, we don't buy it every month, we don't buy it every year. So once we think that there is a need for a new television set, the older one is not working properly, or that you need something new, then you go and buy. But those type of items are often expensive. It is possible that it might be cheaper as well. That depends on competition in the market, the variety available. The different organizations are producing the same product. For example, when we talk about television set, we got Samsung, we got LG, we got JVC, we got some other brands as well, Sony, and several different other brands. So television sets, they always compete from one company to another company. They always try to come up with new and different features, new type of technology, new type of screens, and that is where the price differs. But they always compete with each other. For example, 55-inch TV from Sony and 55-inch TV from Samsung and 55-inch TV from any other brand, they try to have a price match with those brands. If the technology is same, if the features are similar, they try to keep the price. They try to drive down the price as much as they can. Now, for that type of items, when we buy television sets, or when we buy laptops, or when we buy any other items like tires or something else, or even you going for holidays, hotel reservation, we always try to shop around where we can find the best deal. So when we talk about deal, that is promotion, and that is a part of marketing as well. So the best deal. So we don't just go to one shop and we just look at one laptop and we buy it there and then. No, because we need several different type of features in it. Your need, your personal need could be different than my personal need when we buy a laptop. So you might be, for example, you might be a graphic designer. You might need a laptop that has a better performance, better screen, high resolution screen, better hard drive, better speed of CPU, better speed of graphic card. But for me, I'm a lecturer. I just need a laptop to work on Microsoft Word, sometime recording videos, sometime for something else. So I need a basic laptop. I don't need very hi-fi laptop in comparison with your need. So that is why we shop around and we look at, because we have a lot of variety available. There are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of companies who are manufacturing those products. So we need to look at where we can buy those products, and consumer do shop around for those type of products. So shopping around is the important thing, where we need to compete more than the convenience goods. In comparison with convenience good, people or the manufacturer or the organization, they are competing with each other in those type of goods. Now the third type of goods or services are the specialty goods or services, where we have a specific or luxury product, this special product which is not available everywhere. People only buy it once in a while. So for example, luxury jewelry, you don't go and make jewelry every day. People don't buy wedding gown every day. It's one-off event. And that type of luxury items are often expensive and is purchased infrequently. Some people might buy a wedding gown like 3 or 4 times in the lifetime. They get married so often, again and again, get married, divorce, married, divorce. That is the exceptional case. But normally, when we talk about normal people, in general, people don't buy wedding gown again and again. So that is more expensive. And since that is for a special event, a event that is what we call it a dream event, people tends to spend more money on that. If you have a dream car, for example, you want to buy a Bentley or Ferrari or Lamborghini or some other car, you will pay higher price on those cars. Oh, again, even though on a 30 speed limit road, Ferrari will go on 30 and a Fiat 500 will go on 30 as well. So there is no difference. The only difference is the luxury. So the luxury cars, luxury jewelry, wedding gown, or health insurance. We don't buy health insurance every day. We pay premium on health insurance year by year or monthly premium, but because that is for protection. And about insurance, we will learn in risk management when we talk about risk management in supply chain. But anyway, so in that there are three type of three different categories of the products and services. One is the convenience, second one is shopping, and third one is specialty goods. These are about these are the category of consumer products. So we are talking about consumer products. We are not talking about the industrial product yet. So what could be the classification of the industrial product and services? For marketing in a supply chain, we need to understand which type of product we are dealing with, which type of product or services we are producing before we actually go for the marketing, before we actually approach the consumers or the organization to buy our product. So we need to understand how we are going to market those products, what are the best ways to market those products, or what are the best ways to get the consumer demand and the supply the product to the consumers as well. So let's look at a bit further. Now in organizational products, there are three type of categories again. So the first one is production, second one is expense, and third one is capital items. What is the difference between those three different type of categories? So the production items, which is being used for production. So the item, if you are a manufacturer, and the goods and services you are using to produce something, that is production items. So it could be the raw material, it could be the components you are using. For example, you are processing loads of tea into the tea bags. So you might need tea bags for tea processing to put the tea before it goes for the sale. So those tea bags are the production items. Now it could be the information as well. The information processing, information analysis, or data analysis for real-time production. You might need data to produce something. As an example, let's suppose you are a software developer in IT industry. So to develop a software, you might need data from your client. That you ask your client that give me the data, what data you require in the software, or how that data need to be processed. So that information is required, and you process that information before you develop the software. So that becomes your production item. That information or the data becomes your production item as well. Another example is jet fuel used by the airline services. So the airline services use fuel. So to fly an aircraft, the airline services, they require fuel. So that is a production item as well. Another example, to produce electricity, either we need coal, or we need fuel, or we need nuclear power, or we need solar panels, or we need windmills. So all these are production items for the electricity supplier. So those are the production items. Now the second one is the expense items. Expense items that has something to do, which is the direct expense, direct or indirect expense to our production. So that is the electricity, water supply, any building maintenance, any insurance, any legal services we need to use, any insurances we need to buy. So all those goods and services that are consumed within a year. So why within a year? Because all the services like oil, electricity bills we have to pay, building maintenance we have to pay, the legal service charges we have to pay, the insurance premium we have to pay, that are most of them are either monthly basis or yearly basis. Now the third one is capital items, and those are the permanent capital items. For example, you need buildings or any premises to run a business or for manufacturing. Either it's a service business or a manufacturing business. So you need buildings for that. Buildings, office, factories. The life expectancy of those type of goods are much longer than 1 year. So life expectancy of a building could be like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 100 years. Depends on the construction and depends on so many other things. Now, these are the items, those are the capital items where you spend a lot of money for your manufacturing, for products and services. A lot of money is involved in capital items. I'm not saying that money is not involved in expense items or the production items as well. The money is involved there as well, but the expense in production items and the cost of production items and the expense item depends on how much you are producing. For example, instead of 500 pieces, you are producing 1000 pieces. For 1000 pieces of, let's say, tea bags again. So tea bags. So for 1000 tea bags, you need more money. For 500, you need less money. It could be possible the more you buy in bulk, it could be much cheaper. But again, it won't be same as you spending on 500 pieces of tea bags. So the production items could be much costly. Now, in that case, if we are buying 1000 tea bags, but our demand is only 500, the cost will be higher to buy 1000, let's say 25% after discount, 25% higher or 50% higher. Again, that 50% is an extra cost which you are spending on that particular order. And you might need to keep that 500 bags into inventory, which is again an extra cost as well. That is what we are going to learn later on when we talk about the cost of ownership or some other topic. But the main thing we need to understand here, we need to learn here, is the organizational product have those three type of categories as well. One, how do we come up with the product idea? Now in that, what happened? The product idea comes with two ways. One, you come up with a product idea based on your experience and you think that this product is going to sell. It could be a consumer product or a service. It could be an industrial product or a service. Now, that way you come up with the idea and you start producing the product. It doesn't mean that it is going to sell. Maybe your idea is unique for yourself, but people, the consumers, doesn't like the product. The other way to avoid that type of risk, the other way is to get the idea from consumers. So consumers give the idea and you get the data from consumer before you actually come up with the actual product idea. So consumer gives you the idea. How can you get the idea from consumer? There are few ways that you get consumer feedback. You get the data related to that product. You collect the data from the market, you collect the data from your consumer, or you collect the data from the industry, depends on what product or service you are looking for who will be your potential customers who are going to buy your product and who will be the potential user who are going to use that product. So once you get that data, and that is why big data is important, because there are a lot of products, a lot of consumers in the market, the potential consumers who can give you large amount of data, and that is why you need to understand the data analysis as well. Nowadays you can use AI and other digital technologies to analyze the data, but again, human-centric approach, we need human beings to understand or to look at the data as well. Well, again, that is the different topic, but that is associated with the product development. So product idea, you come up with a product idea, that is important. So once you have the product idea, you look for the screening. Screening means that you are screening the idea, how good the idea is. Can we develop a product like that? Can we develop a service like that based on the consumer demand? Consumer might ask you that I need, let's say, a personal rocket so I can travel to moon. That might not be a viable product. If you started developing a product like that, people can't afford, because it could be very costly. People can't buy that. So that is not a viable idea. So we need screening. Screening is important before we actually look at the viability of that product. Is that product or the features given in the product is really important? Then once screening, if it passed the screening, then we go for the concept testing. That we got the concept, can we actually develop that product, how that will perform, what will be the outcome, what will be the results of that product. Is there viability? When we look at the market analysis as well, is there any viability that this product is going to sell and give the desired result to our consumers, whoever is consuming it, whoever is a personal for personal use or industrial use. Then we analyze our business as well. Do we have the capacity or the capability to produce that product and service? That is also very important. We might have a very good idea. We might have a brilliant idea. It passed through screening. The consumers are looking for it. The concept testing is passed as well. But do we have the capability to produce that product or service? That is another important issue, or that could be a risk associated with your business as well. Now, why that could be a risk? Because you might have a good product idea, but you might not have the capacity or the capability to manufacture or produce that goods or services. So if you don't have that, if you think that you don't have the capacity or the capability, then there are several different strategies which you can use. For example, outsourcing. For example, having acquisition or mergers with the companies who has that capability which is required. So for example, you come up with a product idea for, let's say, a new type of navigation system for a specific type of driver. For that, you might need association with Google Earth. So you might need to join hands with Google Earth, or might need to join hands with Google to provide you data from their Google Earth platform. So that, because you don't have that capability, you don't have the database or that type of amount or that type of data which you require for that product development. So you need to go and outsource that type of data. So that is business analysis. Then prototype development. Once you know that you have the capacity and the capability as well, then you go for the prototype development. You can't just go for large scale or full scale manufacturing of that product. If that is a project for a client, that is a different story. But in that as well, we need to come up with a prototype first. Because prototyping, product development is costly or could be costly, that is why we look at computer-based design nowadays. For example, before we construct a building, we construct a building in application like AutoCAD or building information modeling, which we call BIM, and we look at the virtual design. So virtual design of the product, virtual design of those buildings can be done, because if we start working on the building on the ground and later on we realize that it is not functionable, it is not habitable, or it is not good for the people who are going to occupy that, then it is too late, because we already spent a lot of money on the groundwork, on leveling the earth for the foundation and all that. So we can't do that anymore. We have to have a virtual prototype or virtual development of the product, or if you are developing the product physically, you can just have produce like 1, 2, or 3 or 5 samples to see that how that product is going to work on a very small scale, just to test it out. Once you develop that, you test the product. And sometimes you might have seen the people or the company, the organization, they offer products, free products to their consumer to test it out. So they send the product to you, you use the product, you give them the feedback, and okay, this is how it is performing, what they have seen. That is what the drug designing or the companies, the pharmacy companies, that's what they do. When they come up with a new medicine, they test the medicine on the people. So because they need to make sure that product is giving the desired result, it is performing in a way they were hoping that it should. So the desired result to the consumer. So product testing is again very important thing. And finally, when everything we did over here from the idea generation to the product testing, then we go for commercialization. Then we produce on large scale. So that is the final stage. Go for commercialization once it goes through all 6 stages of the product development process. And in that, you might be thinking that this session is about marketing. So where the marketing is. Now the marketing comes in the product idea, where you get the idea. The marketing people get the idea from the consumer, what type of feature they are looking for, what type of colors, what type of size, what type of shapes they are looking for. That is where the marketing comes in. Product testing, that is where the marketing comes in as well. Concept testing and business analysis. Marketing could be useful in concept testing and business analysis as well. And finally, commercialization. The marketing department, they know how they are going to commercialize the product as well. What are the ways? Are they going to put it on promotion? Are they going to give out free samples? If you go to a shopping mall or go to train station or bus station, sometime you might have seen a new products is being launched by a well-known organization. For example, let's say Head and Shoulders or Colgate or Pepsi or Coke. They came up with a new drink and they are giving you a free sample can, giving away on the train station, so people can taste it and give them the feedback. If they taste it, they like it, and they will buy it regularly. So that is what marketing people can do as well in commercialization. So these are the 7 stages of product development. Okay, now let's look at the product life cycle. And you might already know about what is product life cycle. And how does that work with the 7 stages of the product development? Now, that would be an exercise for you to understand or to come up with the idea that how those 7 stages of product development process, how that fits with a product life cycle. Let me give you an overview quickly. What is product life cycle? So in that product life cycle, you can see in this diagram, it gives the first stage, which is introduction. Then the second stage is growth. Then third stage is maturity, and the fourth stage is decline. And on the other side, on the y-axis, we got loss and we got profit. And this is the midline in the product life cycle. So what is happening over here? What it trying to give us that when we are introducing a product, so where the product is being introduced. So when we are introducing the product over here, we are making the loss, because that is fairly a new product. So we are making loss on that product. Why? Because what we have done the research and development for that product so far, and we have spent a lot of money for the research and development. Now, once we have the commercialization, we are introducing the product in the market. So when we are introducing the product in the market, then it starting selling. When we start selling the product, then only it start making the profit. But what is happening over here, all the amount we spent on research and development, which is the product development process, all the money we have spent so far, that will take some time after sales that we will make a break even. So this is the break even point. So we will make the break even. So that is the break even point. So in that break even point, we are now at the stage where we are not making any loss and we are not making any profit. This is the center point. So as an example, we spent, let's say, 10,000 US dollars for this development. Let me just clean the screen. So we spent 10,000 US dollars for this product development. Okay, that is research and development. Now, once we come up with a product and we're starting commercialization of that product, we came up with the product selling price is 100 US dollars per product. So 100 US dollars. Now 100 US dollars, 10,000 is the spending so far, 100 US dollars per products. How many products we need to sell to reach the break-even point? What do you think? How many products we need to sell to reach the break-even point? So we need to sell at least 100 products to reach the break-even point. That is just very simple example. But actually what happened, this was the research and development only. After that, we are producing those 100 products. That is cost as well. And to produce, to sell, to market, or all other fixed or variable cost involved in that production as well. So we need to calculate it. It is possible that cost of manufacturing the product and service could be, let's say, this is $100 is selling price. The cost of manufacturing that is, let's say, 75 US dollar. Now to meet 75 times 100, 7,500 US dollars, and 10,000 US dollars become 17,500 US dollar. So we need to make sales of 7,500 US dollars, which is divided by 100 US dollar per sale price, 175 units we need to sell. 175. So over here, 175 units we need to sell to reach the break-even point. Now that is a simple calculation that how we can look at the break-even point. Now this is the break-even point, which is and it gives us the great growth stage. Let's go back to product lifecycle. So we introduce the product. After introduction stage, we go into the growth stage where we started selling the product. People starting knowing that, okay, this is the new product from so and so company, so and so organization. It is performing well. It is giving the desired result. After the growth stage, it goes to the maturity stage over here. Now, once it's reached the maturity stage and at the top most point of maturity, that is, you can see in the chart, that is declining, and it goes to the decline stage. Sometimes the product declines up to here. Okay, it goes that. Now, this is the stage, the maturity stage and the decline stage. These are the stages, those could be most dangerous for your product, and that is why we need continuous improvement, and we will learn into continuous improvement in next sessions. So we need continuous improvement. Now, exercise for you is that you need to think about how that product development stages fits with each of these stage. We have already talked about introduction and growth, specifically the maturity and the decline stage, how that product development will work. Now, we have developed that product once. Do we have to keep developing the product, or what we need to do? So you need to come up with that answer. Think about it. There could be several different answers to it, depends on product to product, but there are several different case studies as well. Now, just to give you an idea, Apple iPhone, every year they come up with a new version of Apple iPhone. iPhone 13, 12, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is X, then 11, 12, 13, 14. Now it will be 15 or 16 or whatever. Okay, so new product they are coming up with every year. Why do they need to come up with a new phone every year? Do you change your phone every year? Do people change their phone every year? Is there a need to change the phone every year? Still, Apple is coming up with a new phone every year. What is the reason behind? The reason for that is to come up with a new iPhone is that once they introduce a new iPhone in, let's say, August, September, October every year, it goes meet the growth by January, let's say. So September, meet the growth in January. By the time it reaches March, April, it reaches the maturity, and after that the sales decline by, let's say, July. Why? Because by the time the technology has evolved, people get bored with that phone, they need something new, and that is what the human behavior is changing. They need something new every time. So they need a phone with new features, with updated version. By the time their phone memory is full, they need a better memory now, they need better storage in the phone, and that is why the Apple introduced a new phone as soon as it's reached the maturity, or as soon as the sales started decline. They introduce this is iPhone 14, they will introduce iPhone 15 in, or by the time September again, then it will pick up and then decline. Before it started decline, they introduce another phone. So they just add new features to the phone. So what is happening over here? The research and development at the background is continuous. It never stops. They keep spending money on research or development to come up with new feature, to come up with new product idea. They screen, they test the concept, they do the business analysis. Can we deliver that feature or not? Do we need more people or more other organization to join with? Product development, product testing, and then commercialization. So that is why the product development idea, having the marketing approach or marketing strategies, right marketing strategies to collect the data, come up with a product idea, and then use the product life cycle as a turning point for them to introduce the product again and again. If iPhone doesn't do it, Samsung will do it, and Samsung will capture the market share in the smartphone market. So that is why iPhone has to do it again and again and again. And so do other organizations as well. Now, with that